Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ask him to send peace and blessing his beloved and our beloved Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is a continuation of this section on Salatul Juma, and today the first section is it being sunnah to make ghusl, a bath for Juma. A ghusl is not a shower. You can do ghusl in a shower, but a shower is not a ghusl. Right? Similarly, a bath is not automatically a ghusl. A ghusl is a certain act, there's certain conditions. So you can have a shower, but you might not have ghusl when you come out of the shower. Right? So although sometimes we make them synonymous because the language that we use, but a ghusl is a specific way to clean ourselves and has some conditions. We're not going to go through the conditions. We already went through this in the chapter of Tahara. Today is about it being sunnah to make ghusl for Juma. Imam Malik narrated, because we're reading the section of Juma Salat. Imam Malik narrated from Safwan ibn Sulaym, who narrated from Ata ibn Yasar, who narrated from Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, ghuslu yawm al-jum'ati wajibun ala kulli muhtalim. That the ghusl for on the day of Jum'ah, on the day of Friday, is wajib on every muhtalim, every person that has reached the age of maturity. For any mature person, literally means a person who experiences ihtilam, right? Like the person who experiences a wet dream. But what it means is that a person has reached the age of that. That every person that has reached that age, it is wajib upon them. An explanation is coming for this afterwards. It's wajib, right? It's compulsory. It's not just sunnah. But the chapter title says it's sunnah. So now the Imam is talking, what is it? What's happening here? He's going against the hadith of Rasulullah. No, there's more explanation, more hadith to come. Imam Malik narrated from Nafi', who narrated from Abdullah bin Umar, that Rasulullah said that when any of you comes for Jum'ah, then he should bathe, he should have ghusl. Imam Malik narrated from Ibn Shihab, who narrated from Salim bin Abdullah, that he said that a man from the companions of the Prophet ﷺ entered the masjid on the day of Jum'ah, and Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu was giving khutbah. And Umar radiallahu anhu said to him, what time is like this? He's Ya Amirul Mu'mineen, or the commander of the faithful. Basically, I came from the market. I heard the adhan in the marketplace, and all I did was make wudu. And Umar radiallahu anhu said, just wudu. And he said that what I know from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he used to order for Jum'ah that a person should make ghusl. Imam Malik narrated from Sa'id bin Abi Sa'id al-Maqburi, that narrated from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that he used to say that the ghusl of the day of Jum'ah is wajib on every muhtalim, like the ghusl of janaba. Like the ghusl is made after someone has intercourse, then it's wajib for him. Similarly also, this is also wajib. Imam Malik narrated, whoever makes ghusl for Jum'ah, the beginning of the day, and by it he intended the ghusl for Jum'ah, this ghusl will not suffice him, right? Until he makes a ghusl that when he's actually setting out for Jum'ah. So that you basically make ghusl for Jum'ah at home, then just before you set out from your home, according to Imam Malik Rahimahullah, that because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, as in the hadith of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, إِذَا جَاءَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْجُمْعَةَ فَلْيَغْتَسِلْ. When any one of you comes to Jum'ah, meaning he sets out for Jum'ah, then he should do a ghusl. So it should be the last thing that you do before you set out for Jum'ah should be the ghusl. Imam Yahya said that, Imam Malik said, whoever makes the ghusl for the day of Jum'ah, hastily or quickly or later, and by it he intends the ghusl of Jum'ah, then he has got this reward of the ghusl of Jum'ah. This is another riwayah from Imam Malik. So, and if anything happens where he breaks his wudu, like a person had a shower in the morning, and then he breaks his, and then he has to do his wudu only. He sets out on the way, he breaks his wudu. He made a ghusl, let's say at home, ghusl. Now he sets out for Jum'ah, or before he arrives at masjid, then he has to go something. He breaks his wudu. Then he said that this will still suffice him. Imam Shah Waliullah says there's an agreement, there's ittifaq on it being mustahab. Ghusl is mustahab for the day Jum'ah. And as for the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it being because it says it's wajib, the words is wajib, then this is mansukh. This is abrogated. Meaning in the early days it was to be wajib, then later on, and we know many ahkam are there. Initially they are wajib, then later they're relaxed. Or that what is intended by the wording of the hadith is ta'keed, emphasis. And now the Imams disagree. When is the timing for the ghusl of Jum'ah? Because there's a specific reward mentioned for doing ghusl for Jum'ah. So coming for Salat al-Jum'ah. So when is the time? So in Minhaj it says the time of ghusl is from Fajr until but it's better to do it just before you set out for Jum'ah. But any time in the morning on the day, that if you do it, that will suffice as the ghusl of Jum'ah, the sunnah ghusl of Jum'ah obviously. I mean, they'll get the reward of that. But if you leave it as late as possible before you come, then it's better. You want to really live late, we've got to shower. So if you want to make it in the mosque bathroom. In Hidayah is a Hanafi fiqh book. The previous one is a Shafi fiqh book that the ghusl on the day of Jum'ah for the salat, this is correct. And in Alamgiriya is another Hanafi fatwa book. If a person was to make ghusl after Fajr and then he broke it and he prayed Jum'ah with the wudu, then this will not fulfill the ghusl of the Jum'ah. Right? It should be immediately before the Jum'ah. And the next chapter, it is mustahab to wear the best of your clothes for Jum'ah. Imam Malik narrated from Yahya bin Sa'id that is reaching that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what is with you that ما على أحدكم لو اتخذ ثوبين ولجمعة سوى ثوبي مهنة? Like, what is with you that you don't take any clothes except for the clothes that you do for your work, right? So there's clothes that we have work clothes. A person should make sure he's talking about because the farmers mainly Madinah Munawwarra, people are laborers. So if you're working and doing a laboring job and the clothes are getting dirty in that job, like farming for example, which is a profession or the livelihood of most of the people in Madinah Munawwarra, then of course if you're laboring then and you're doing a farmer, you're in mud and so forth, and your clothes are getting dirty. Like, don't you have another 2 pieces of cloth, right? 2 pieces of cloth that you can have a spare. And there's many brothers that come here from work and they will have in their they have in their car and they'll get changed before they come into Juma to fulfill this. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that we should come into Juma in a large crowd of Muslims as well. Like, we should change and the facility is there for the brothers that do come from work. They're working, especially like tradesmen who are working, building house and so forth. Those type of jobs, they can get changed and they can get a shower as well just before Juma. So the facility is there, alhamdulillah. And Shah Waliullah said, all his commentaries, قُلْتُ وَهُوَ قَوْلُ عُلَمَاء, that I say that this is the speech of what the ulama have said. In the chapter on it is يُسْتَحَبُّ التَّطَيُّبُ وَالتَّسَوُّقُ لِلْجُمَعَةِ, Imam Malik narrated that Ibn Shihab said, who narrated from the Sabaq, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in regards to the Jum'ah, يا معشر المسلمين إن هذا يوم جعل الله عيدا فاغتسلوا. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, oh, the gathering of the Muslims, the Jama'ah, the group of the Muslim, indeed this is a day that Allah has made a Eid for you, so bathe, فاغتسلوا. And whoever من كان عنده طيب لا يضر أن يمس منه وعليكم بالسواك. And there's nothing wrong, it's actually a good thing that if a person he takes some perfume and also that you do and you should be particular about siwak, use of the miswak. Siwak is the act of doing miswak, using the miswak. Imam Malik narrated, clean your teeth, put perfume on, put nice clothes on. You're coming into a gathering, a weekly ijtima gathering, an Eid, like it's a Eid for the Muslims, a weekly Eid for the Muslims. Imam Malik narrated from Nafi that he narrated from Abdullah bin Umar, كان يروح إلى الجمعة إلا دهن وتطيب إلا يكون حرام يعني محرما, that Ibn Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu, that he did not come to the Jum'ah, and I repeat this over and over again. Ibn Umar was known for his very strict adherence to what he observed from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was very strict about following Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Said that he came to the Jum'ah except that he put on oil and perfume, like oil the hair and so forth, and put perfume, except when he was in a state of ihram, because in ihram it's forbidden. One of the things forbidden is to use scents, fragrance, perfume. And قُلْتُ وَهُوَ قَوْلَ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ, and this is the wording of the people of knowledge. The next section is about coming early to Juma. Imam Malik narrated from Sumayb, the free slave Abu Bakr bin Abdurrahman, that Abu Salih as-Samman from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever makes ghusl for the day of Jum'ah, like the ghusl of janaba. So it's the same ghusl. In act it's the same, but one is mustahab, one is wajib. And then he comes early to the masjid. It is as though that he's put forward a whole camel for sacrifice, like a large animal for sacrifice, badana. And whoever comes in the second, he's the second one, or the second moment, or the second hour, he comes, it is as though that he's put forward a cow, right? And whoever comes in the third, then he's put a ram, a sheep, and whoever comes in the fourth, it is as though he's put a chicken forward, and whoever comes in the fifth, it is as though he's put an egg forward. فكأنما قر بيضة فإذا خرج الإمام, and he goes, when the Imam comes out for the khutbah, then the angel حضرت الملائكة يستمعون ذكر, that the angels come, and then they come to listen to the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you cannot, this is for Jum'ah specifically. Next Eid, you can't put an egg for udhiyah. There's a group, I heard, unfortunately I heard, he's from Pakistan, but anyway, so I'm ashamed. I hang my head in shame. There's a group that made qiyas on this, that you can do cow, camel, sheep, and you can do an egg for udhiyah as well. So you can't do qiyas analogy on this to make it udhiyah, you know. Then you can't even buy one egg, you have to do a dozen. You can do a dozen qurb udhiyah, and it'll cost you $5, $6. But anyway, I want to say shaitan tricked them, but I don't know. I don't want to blame everything on shaitan. Maybe they tricked themselves, you know. Wallahu alam. قلت, this is the speech of the people knowledge, that this is the most authentic, is that these are the hours or the times that are very after zawal. This is specific time that is there just at that time before Jummah. The people that are coming early, like it's so you got to time your ghusl. Do your ghusl, come early but not too early, so you don't have to make wudu, and then come into the just before the time. There are some brothers every week in, week out, they always get the camel. You know, there's always there's one I know. I think he's got many camels, inshallah ta'ala. So it's worth. I mean, the rewards are more. The one who sets out early, he will reach his destination. You know, the one who fears, he will set out early, and the one who, as Rasulullah said, the one who sets out early, he reaches his destination. And in this case, is getting the rewards. Striving or coming towards as-sa'i yawm al-jum'ati, that strive. قال الله تعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير إن كنتم تعلمون. So that you have iman when the salat, the call is made for salat, in Surah Juma, we can read ourselves the tafsir as well. فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله, then hasten or go to, right? Generally fas'au it means like to rush, to run, to move very quickly, but meaning that do the act, fulfill the act, go to the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the khutbah and the salat, and the khutbah is the main part of the khutbah is remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the whole point of it, is a weekly admonition and remind us, and the main line it is ittaqullah, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just to hear that, right? We'll learn that in a moment. Wadarul bay', and leave your trade, because this is better in kuntu, if you only knew. Malik said that he asked Ibn Shihab about this ayat, and he said that Ibn Shihab said that Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he used to read this. كان عمر بن الخطاب يقرأه إذا نودي للصلاة فامضوا إلى ذكر الله. Come to the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yahya said that Imam Malik said that the sa'i in the book of Allah is al-amalu wal-fi'l, right? It doesn't mean literal running, because generally that's when, and he gives explanation. Imam Malik explained, وَإِذَا تَوَلَّى سَعَى فِي الْأَرْضِ وَقَالَ وَأَمَّا مَنْ جَاءَكَ يَسْعَى وَيَخْشَى قال ثم أدبر يسعى قال عز وجل إن سعيكم لشتى. In the Quran the word sa'i is used, and Yahya said قال فليس السعي الذي ذكر الله عز وجل في كتاب السعي على أقدام ولا اشتداد ولا الجري وإنما عن الفعل والعمل. What is intended is فعل and amal, actions and deeds. And this is قلت وهو قول العلماء أنه يحرم التشاغل بالبيع ونحو بعد الأذان والمعتبر عند الحنفية الأذان الأول وعند الشافعي الأذان بين يدي الخطيب. So that what the ulama intend, say that is haram to be engaged in transactions, buying and selling, and the like, and what, other professions and things, that transactions after the adhan. According to the Hanafis, it's the first adhan. There's two adhans in Juma. And according to Imam Shafi'i Rahimahullah, it's the adhan it is haram. This is talking about when is it haram, because Allah is telling us to leave trade. So, and then if a person doesn't fulfill the order, then he's disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is a sin. So at what point is the sin, which adhan is this referring to? So the Imams differ on this. Some say it's the first adhan. Generally here, if you notice in masjid, only about 5-10 minute difference between the two adhans. We give time for sunnah and then the second adhan. Other places might have longer. In other places they do, because most of us are not hearing the adhan and coming. Generally we have alarms, or we know the times, or we're looking at calendars or apps and whatnot. Generally we're not hearing the adhan. But in all the times, that was the alarm clock. So there was an adhan, then time was given. The people know how much time is needed for people to leave whatever they're doing, their job, get ready for salat, come to the masjid. So it could be extended period of time, it could be half an hour, 1 hour, until the people come to the masjid. So and it being prohibited to jump over the shoulders of people, right? النهي عن التخطي الرقاب يوم الجمعة. Malik narrated from Abdullah bin Abu Bakr bin Hazm, who narrated that Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, it is better for you to pray in Dhahr al-Had, as a place outside, rocky place outside of Madinah Munawwarra. It's better for you to pray on those rocks, that you come and Imam is giving khutbah and you jump over the shoulders of people and for the Jummah. Right? You come late, like in Salat, the mosque already pulled, then you're jumping over the people to get to the front, right? Shah Waliullah says, this is a qawl of the people of knowledge. Imam Mahalli, Jalal Mahalli, he said in his Rawda, except if the Imam, if the Imam himself is coming, then he has to jump over the people. He's got to get to the front. They didn't make a special door here, so unfortunately. So in other masjids, they have a secret entrance, for the Imam. But there's no door here, so the Imam might have to come over the people. Obviously, that makes sense. Or there's a gap in front, and the people are refusing to go forward, right? So there's actually a gap, and the people you might have nudged them or sort of and they're not going. Then if a person was to go to reach that, then that is excuse. But unnecessarily trying to squeeze in and pushing people out of the way to jump front. If you want to be at the front, come early, right? Come early, and so you get the reward. And the last section for today, and we'll continue Juma next week as well, inshallah. That Juma is 2 khutbahs with a sitting, obviously for the Imam, for the Khatib, he sits in between the 2 khutbahs. Imam Malik narrated from Ja'far ibn Muhammad, who narrated from his father that Rasulullah ﷺ did 2 khutbahs under the Juma, and he sat between the 2. He rested, sat between the 2. Shah Waliullah says, he gives a little commentary, that it is agreed upon that khutbah is fard in the Juma. And then there's ikhtilaf, there's difference of opinion, according to Imam Hanifa Rahimahullah, what is fard, right? The khutbah is fard, but what is the fard in the Juma? That is some reminder, even if you say Alhamdulillah or La ilaha illallah, we're going into the bare minimum khutbah, right? There could be an emergency, there might not be time, right? The whole Juma can be done within 5 minutes. Right, so like last week, because I went over the time in the talk before, I actually cut if you notice the first khutbah, I cut it, I only read a quarter of it. The 3/4 of the khutbah I didn't read, because I went over the time in the English talk and everything got a bit late, and then said, okay, everything's going to be late, so 3/4 of the Arabic khutbah, I've done all the minimum conditions, these things are done, so then technically, I don't even have to do the rest, to fulfill the obligation khutbah. And the message was passed in the English before the 2 Jummahs. Anyway, what is the fard? So he said that some dhikr, even you say Alhamdulillah or say La ilaha illallah, that is enough for the dhikr, because you've made dhikr. Because fas'au ila dhikrillah. So if La ilaha illallah is mentioned, Alhamdulillah is mentioned, then dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it should be before the salat. And according to the Shafi'is, there's 2 khutbahs before the salat, and it has 5 arkan, right? Hamd of Allah subhanahu, praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah. It doesn't have to be exactly in those words, but hamd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salat on the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam is sufficient. So someone say alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah, To say wasiyat wa taqwa, it doesn't have to be exactly ittaqullah, it can be different wordings, but if one was to say ittaqullah, these three, and this is in both khutbahs, this should be there in some shape or form, and to read one ayat in one khutbah and dua in the second for the Muslim. If this is done, then the khutbah, the compulsory, literally they are like short sentences, 5 short sentences. You could say the ayat could be longer, I guess, but basically if that is done, the minimum condition. Now we're used to certain types of khutbahs. We're used to certain styles of khutbahs. The khutbah should be like this. Like one Hajj, he passed away, Egyptian. So in Egypt, if you go to Egypt, you'll see the khatib. I'm not sure in other countries, they don't look at the papers. There's no papers. They memorize. So he said, Sheikh, he came to my father because I was watching the Saudi 1 or whatever it is, TV channel, and Sheikh Sundus, he's also doing khutbah from a paper. All the haram, if you look at it, they're all reading from a piece of paper. So he said that, he goes, even he's reading, because his expectation is, because in Egypt he used to khatib. I went to Egypt and I saw that. It's impressive, because they really memorize it and they deliver long khutbah nicely, beautifully in Arabic without a paper. It's expectation that they should be done without a paper. But anyway, it's permissible to do with paper. I'm digging a hole for myself, I think. But anyway, because I read from a paper. But so these are the Imam Hanifa, according to Imam Hanifa, the Hanafiya say that these other things are sunnah. But even if, let's say you take, as the Shafi'i say, these are arkan, you're looking at basically literally, if you can do it in under a minute maybe. And I'm talking about with salat, within 5-6 minutes you can do the whole Jum'ah. Generally in the subcontinent, the khutbahs are very, very short, right? The khutbah, the ahkam, if you look at the half a page, 3/4 of a page. They do their talk like the way I do it, is the English before separately, and the actual khutbah. And it works nicely in Australia, Allahu Alam, that people can get the compact khutbah. Those who want to listen to a longer lecture, they can come a bit earlier, listen to a talk about what the khutbah, what's in the Arabic. And some combine, there's a whole discussion around the language of the khutbah and so forth. Some argue that this is an equivalent to salat, because it replaces the 2 rakat. I mentioned briefly last week, 2 rakats of salat are replaced by 2. Then you can't do it except in Arabic. Others say no, it's not like that. So there's for and against arguments on this issue. I avoid it, and also people that are generally working, then they can come and get the first azan, second azan, the sunnah, do the complete Jum'ah within 20 minutes. They can do everything without having to rush. I'm going to just leave the whole. If you think about it, we're telling people, look, you're working, come right before salat. If I put the English, what I usually do inside the Jum'ah khutbah, we're telling the people indirectly, because they're working, it's a working day, you come when just before the salat starts. That's not a good message to give, because if fas'au ila dhikrillah, we're asking people to get that. People can come, get the 2 khutbahs, the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fulfill their obligation as well. There are brothers who time it right on this. They said, his salat is never before. People, when they call for the Jum'ah time, what do they ask when they call? What do you think they ask when people call the timing of Jum'ah? What time is? Salat, yeah. They don't ask what time is the khutbah. They say, adhan. They'll say, what time is the salat? And they'll work around that base. And it's understandable as well, because they work, commitments and so forth. So we don't want to, Wallahu alam. In this masjid, we did for a long time. I did for nearly 10 years, maybe khutbah, with the English combined into it. Then before my father passed away, then I asked his permission. I said, I was asking for many, many years. Many years I asked him, and he said no. And then finally, in the end, he, right then he said, okay. He said, announce it for a few weeks so people get used to it. There was 1 or 2 complaints. People are not happy. Some people get used to a certain way of doing things. But alhamdulillah, they accept it. I think most people are happy with it. Wallahu alam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and tawfiq to practice what we hear.